Hi, I'm Levi Karter from Leave It to Levi, and I'm also here with my mom, the star of Leave It to Levi, and Kimberly.
We're doing this film, this video, a 20-minute video for the pineapple support people, and we want to thank Kelly for giving us this opportunity. And we hope that we'll talk about the things she would like for us to talk about.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. Yeah, thank you so much for including us in this. So we're supposed to kind of talk about explain the story of me getting into porn and our relationship around that, which is it's basically the movie, but we definitely have a lot of stories and things that weren't in the movie yet. So this is a great opportunity to just take a deeper dive into our relationship. Well, I got into the industry back in 2013. I was 19 at the time, and my boyfriend was already in the industry working for another studio. So I remember I was, just getting into, auditioning and sending out my resumes, and I was go-go dancing at the time. And at that time in my life, I kind of failed college twice. And, the most fulfillment and, kind of money income I was making was go-go dancing and stripping. And so for me, the next step to that was pornography. And I wanted to try it. And I always, I had an interest for it. And of course, for me, had maybe college, I'm not saying that college didn't work out and now I'm in porn, but I'm just saying at that time, kind of like all the marbles were kind of falling into the bowl of like, now's the time to try it if you want to try it. And I was caught up in the moment and I really wanted to do it. And I did find like a calling in a way. But, it's just like, this is like a job that's not, it doesn't make a parent proud because it's a very controversial job. It can be very rewarding and helpful and informal, but it also is, it can be dangerous. And of course we don't want to be in danger. So I didn't tell my mom because of that. And I went into it kind of being like, I know she's going to find out, it's going to be inevitable, but I think for me, it'll just be best if someone else told her, or if she just kind of found out on her own, because when I first started, I didn't know how to tell you. I wouldn't know the words or how to start that conversation. So I think that's also kind of like why I just didn't. And of course I was scared, and I didn't want you to think that this was a reflection on your parenting, because I still do think that you're the best mom in the world, and I'm very lucky to have a mom like you to teach me all of everything that makes me me, and everything that I'm proud to be like a good person, or I try to be a good person, and you taught me that, so thank you.
So you didn't know how to tell me, so you just thought, oh, well, it'll be easier if somebody else tells her or she finds out.
I didn't know that it was going to unfold the way it did, though. So what happened was I used to work at a catering company at Ohio University, and the baker was good friends with my mom's best friend, and she told my mom's best friend, and my mom's best friend told like her mom and her sister, and I guess some people, and then also to my mom. And so it just wasn't like the right, then I was like, wow, maybe I should have just told her myself. And I felt very bad because I of course didn't want to embarrass or humiliate you at all. That's the whole reason why I didn't tell you. So, but I mean, I guess I also knew that there was never going to be well, I mean, I guess that's not true. I mean, there wasn't going to be a pretty way to tell you. that I was in porn. I just couldn't find like a respectful way to do that.
Yeah, and I see that now. I see that now. I'm trying to imagine how 19, you were almost 20, but okay, so what could you have said? And I'm not sure I have an answer. Now, you could have like written it down, maybe. Sometimes it's easier when you were a kid and you wanted to have a conversation, you wanted to tell me something important. You did. You wrote it down. You wrote letters. And some of them were.
That's so funny because when it usually happens with Jason, but if I can't really talk back or explain myself, I kind of leave and then I type it out and then I send it, because that way to like say it without saying it, because I feel like on the spot I will say the wrong thing, or I'll say the thing and I didn't mean to say it like that.
Yeah. Now, I don't think we had texting in 2013, or at least I don't think.
Like, I guess that's like I didn't realize like that was like a thing that I practiced even back then, of like, write it out, talking.
Yeah, and I definitely would not recommend to anybody that you text your mom, blah, 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 okay?
Well, I wouldn't want to
yeah, no. And, people I know will choose to text it. Difficult, information that's difficult to express. They'll text it these days, and I don't agree with that. But to have written it down in a letter might have been a way, but oh well. So I found out. Yeah, I found out, and to be clear, I don't know how many people Barb told before she told me, but for me, the most humiliating, if you will, that's a strong word, but I felt the most shame that she had told her mother, because her mother, it would be like telling grandma.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've known Barb's mother as long as I've known Barb. So that impacted me a lot, that she had told her mother. And I don't think it was necessary. I don't think it was necessary to this day, but okay, beside the point. She came over one day and she was having breakfast, I think, at the house, and she told me, okay? So it wasn't a total surprise. I mean, I knew you had been stripping and dancing go-go, which is just what, like a little bit of clothing, like a little G-string kind of little, yes. What is it, like a trunk or something?
I was dancing in Ohio where we have laws, so it wasn't like, the Montreal strip clubs where everyone's super naked and yes, it was a lot more tame. But I mean,
Really, I didn't really realize that. And what's interesting, and maybe I should point out, is I didn't like that, Luke. I didn't like the stripping at all. I didn't really even like the go-go dancing. You remember?
I know. Well, you found out because I left my Facebook open when I was going to a gig.
Okay, so that's how I found out about the dancing or stripping or whatever, right?
I also didn't tell you about that either.
I don't remember now, okay, because that news was not as, it didn't impact me as much as the pornography. And I think what people who watch this video need to understand is that I'm a whole nother generation, okay? I grew up where, birth control was not readily available. You grew up thinking that you were going to get married and have children, and that you might even be a virgin when you got married. I'm not kidding you. Now, then came the 60s, and the notion of the hippies and the free love, that wasn't all bad, because there were a lot of sexual hang-ups that people had, and the whole idea that you didn't talk about sex, that wasn't healthy, right? So when the 60s came along, and then the notion was that you didn't have to save your virginity until marriage, that you didn't have to plan to marry somebody, that if you loved someone, you could sleep with them. I began to accept that. I came to accept that idea. And And so I didn't have this notion that you didn't ever talk about sex or that sex was bad. I never had that, and I never wanted you to think that. But yeah, I think I did try to communicate to you that I believe that sex and love go together.
I remember you do that, like one of the many times you caught me, because I didn't know how to like clear the browser history or something. But like, you would always tell me about how, you know, the porn isn't real. Like that kind of sex isn't love versus sex with someone you do love. And that like,
right. I was very clear about that. And so the shame that I felt when Barb told me that was partly because it was Barb, and she's so judgmental. You know how judgmental she is about everything. So part of it was that it came from Barb, but also part of it was I thought, oh my God, you know, here he is having sex for money, and that's not how it's supposed to be. I mean, that's how I really felt. Okay, that's how I really felt. Now, in addition, the danger. On top of the it's wrong, there was the danger. And I don't know which I felt more strongly about. I think probably the danger, because I figured you could always stop. You could always decide to stop, that what you were doing was wrong, okay, and then we could forget it ever happened, right, or move on from there. But the danger was what I think maybe kept me awake at night, you know. I didn't see how you could really have sex with somebody for money without being a little bit high, or maybe a lot high. So I worried about drugs. To me, back in the day, pornography was illegal. At least I don't think I'm making that up. I mean, Larry Flint was was put on trial in Ohio, I think, for his magazine called Hustler back in the day. There's a movie about it. Anyway, I just worried. I thought pornography was sort of like associated with the mafia, and that the people who made pornography were seedy, right? That they were. I know that I never thought Jason and Adrian were being dishonest with you, but I just thought their motives were economics. They wanted to make as much money off doing videos with you, pornography with you, that they didn't really care if you got hurt in the process. They didn't want to hurt you. That wasn't their intent, but I didn't really trust them, certainly not in the beginning. Okay, I never thought they coerced you. I knew you well enough to know, okay, I'm gonna do this, what the hell, you know? Right. Oh, it sounds like fun, I'll just go do this. Well, I never thought they were forcing you or even pushing you, but maybe they weren't being totally honest with you. Maybe I thought that, okay? All right, but the worry about drugs was very powerful. And then I know you know this because I said this to you back in that first time when I met Jason and Adrian. I was worried that they might employ somebody who was 16 or 17, under 18. And then I thought, oh my God, they'll all be arrested. You know, and then I know what would happen from there, but I was really scared about that. So there was that. And then, you're right, there was the selfish side. There was the selfish side that said to myself, what do people think of you, Anne? What do people think of you? You've got this son who's doing porn. And by the time I found out, I think I realized that there were a lot of people in our town that knew. I didn't know how many knew just yet, but I realized there were a lot of people who knew, because the way that baker found out was you had told somebody that worked with the baker and
I don't know how she found out.
Okay, now I'm the one who's chewing with my mouth open here.
But also, I mean, all of those concerns that you had before, you know, that aren't like that isn't like a personal reason, like those are all real things that, you know, like you said, it's a generational thing where like I said that to Jason, and Jason's like, well, the porn was, you know, controlled by the mafia then. And I was like, oh, so there is like, you know, there's truth to all the stuff. It's just, you know, there's just new laws and practices to make a lot of those
Right.
go away. So.
Right. And, you know, I think it's interesting. I of course worried about HIV, because if you get some smaller, you know, some kind of infection, that can be cleared up, but you know, there's no cure for HIV, and that's, you know, that's still the case. So the worry about HIV was real, and it was intense. Sometimes I'd worry about it more than others, but I worried about it for years. And thank goodness in the last, well, how long has it been since you've been taking the PrEP?
I took it for about a year now.
At least.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to go back on it because I can get, I wonder, I just got tested Wednesday, and I got clear and negative for everything, plus COVID. I wonder if I can send that to my doctor and she can refill my prescription sooner. Because she said that I can go back on PrEP once I take an HIV test, and I just did. So I wonder if it has to be like a test from them, or if it can be from this other center.
Okay. Anyway, whatever.
Sorry, that wasn't the point.
Off the subject. Okay. Now, what about the idea of, okay, you felt bad for me because you knew I wasn't going to be happy, but at the same time you were happy. So why don't you talk about that?
Well, that I guess would be a selfish notion on my part then. But I mean, I like kind of just like what you said, I was happy, and I, you know, for the first time, you know, I guess maybe since cheerleading or something, that I felt that I was good at something. I was able to make money on my own. I was able to move to New York, the place I've always wanted to be, and I was, you know, it was just a really good time and experience for me, and I was, you know, getting attention, and that was also fun too. But I think, you know, like I said, like the most fulfilling part about that was, you know, I was kind of, you know, I was able to find success or stability through this job, and I really enjoyed this job. I felt like I felt like I did a really good job at it, and I also felt like I was doing it for the right reasons, and I found the right people to do it with, who would do it respectfully, as safe as possible, and that's kind of how I was. And I guess that just, for me, it outweighed, like, you know, my mom. And that's kind of like the part one of Leave It to Levi, where I was kind of like, you know, there's just things, I said something, and then I ended it with like, but you just have to do what makes you happy. And that just, you know, porn, where I found myself in porn, made me happy, and I am, and I'm still happy, and I'm still very proud of my work, and that I did do everything that I've done, and I also knew in the back of my head that it is just you and me. You know, it's just been you and me growing up, and I know that you were upset, but I somehow knew that it wasn't like this. It wasn't like what I would feel like if you like disowned me. Like, you never disowned me or anything. And it was never that kind of energy. And so that's also maybe why, you know, I would just kind of like let you come around to it, or, you know, maybe didn't spend as much time to try to, you know, let you know that I am okay and that I am safe and everything, and to maybe like help you, you know, cope better with this career choice.
And you know, you got success. You found success pretty soon after you started, like, and within about a year or 2 or 3, you were at the top of the porn industry, right?
Yeah.
You had to keep things from me, like you weren't really able to celebrate with me, right? Your success, and because I was kind of just, let's not talk about it. I don't want, you know, I certainly never thought about cutting you out of my life. That was really never an option. I did think about saying, well, I can't give you any money, right? I mean, you know, that's just not going to happen anymore. And I really never wanted any money that I gave you to allow you to continue to pursue that career. But you can't separate funds like that, you know? And so I gave up pretty early on, gave up trying to worry about that. But I think I always let you know that I didn't want to be paying your way. And while I may have given you a little money here and a little money there, it didn't amount to flat out support, never has, and never will. I think some of my fear was that I was making it too easy for you, but on the other hand, I wasn't going to risk, and this is important for people to know, because I don't know if I've even told you this, I wasn't going to risk by holding back either love, but especially money, because how can you hold back love? You can't. But if I held back financial support in the time of an emergency, I worried that you might take the next step, which would be to become a male prostitute. And that to me would have been devastating. I didn't think I could have survived that. And you know what? There might be people watching this down the road who are trying to struggle with, oh my God, my son is a prostitute. And I can honestly say it, while I don't want you to do that, please, pretty please, I can honestly say now that that's part of accepting someone also, right?
Right.
Now,
That's beautiful, because I mean, I have friends who, I guess the word now is escort,
yeah.
but like, you know, I haven't not thought about it, but you know, for me, I've always turned away from it because I'm small, and I don't feel like I would be able to defend myself if something went wrong. And you know, a lot of my friends who do escorting, they're big muscular guys, so I'm kind of like, would they at least have a fighting chance? Kind of. So I just, you know, that was just something that was a little too dangerous for me, and just also it is also something I don't think I'm cut out for. But you know, the people who are, we do thank you for your service. But yeah, I guess that was just another road that is somewhere.
You know, let's now, I got an idea. Let's now, hold on, let me finish my chewing. Maybe now would be a good time to talk about it's the person that matters. Because, you know, I have these friends and they have these expectations for kids. You know, like let's use Ellen as an example. It was so important, still is important to her that her kids get a good education. If Caroline hadn't gone to college, and to be honest, a 2-year degree wasn't quite good enough for mom, right? But Caroline has made the decision to get a 4-year college degree, and that has made Ellen so happy. All right, that's fine. I'm glad for her. But you know what? I don't want my happiness to be about what I want for you. Okay? It really is the most important thing that you be a good person, that you be a good friend, that you do nice things for people, that you be polite, that you look both ways before you cross the street, that you stop at stop signs, that you vote, that you be nice to your mom, that you return phone calls, that you, you know, that you just be a good person. And you are.
Thank you. Well, you taught me. Thank you.
And that's really the most important thing, that you be a good person. And then of course happiness is tied in there too. If you can be both good and happy, when you were home and you had been doing porn for, let's say, a couple of years, one time you came home, it was holiday season, probably Thanksgiving or Christmas, and you were in the shower. And I was in the kitchen or whatever I was doing, and then, you know, in the middle of the shower, there you are singing at the top of your lungs, singing some song like you did when you were a kid. You used to sing in the shower, and, you know, I realized my kid is happy. I might not be happy with his choice, but he's happy. And I had this like light bulb moment, and I went, okay, he's happy. He's still Luke. He's still my son. He's still the kid I love. And I knew that I had to, you know, just kind of relax a little bit and stop worrying 24/7 and just kind of let go and let things play out as they will. And here we are 7 years later. You know, and I go, oh my God, is he still doing porn? Well, yeah, he is. Okay, he is, folks. Now he's also doing, you want to tell him what you're also doing now?
Oh, I'm also doing drag, which is great. Super fun. And I thought your response to that was super funny. You were like, at least he's keeping his clothes on. And then you're like, mostly or something. So I thought that was funny.
Let me look at the notes.
I thought that what you just said was beautiful. And thank you.
You're welcome, sweetie. You know, and there's other things we haven't talked about. Like, we didn't talk about how I gradually came to realize that Jason and Adrian are wonderful men, and that in this sort of crazy, ironic, weird way, there they are. These two are married in a marriage, and they're doing, you know, and they're doing porn. I mean, it doesn't fit with the picture. You just wouldn't expect this married couple to be. And you know, I've told so many people that I think that they're also your parents. And I, you know, I never would. I always wanted you to have a dad. I really did. I wasn't able to provide a dad for you, and here you go finding a dad or two dads. You know, in the world of porn. Holy shit! I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And you know what? They're like your longest lasting relation. I mean, you've known them and loved them, and they for the longest time. And I never thought when I first met them 7 years ago, and thought they were not evil, just, you know, just it was just a business. I who would have thought that here I am expressing gratitude for the other people in your life who love you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm glad you said that, because I know that they are everything that you just said, and they sometimes don't get enough recognition for that.
All right.
But thank you.
All right, darling.
But I mean, I guess it's like the takeaway from all of that is it is like what you said, it's the person and not always the journey of the person.
Yeah, it's not the job, the career. I mean, you know, let's not judge people based on their careers all the time. Obviously, that's part of who they are, of course, but it's only part. I mean, I don't like people thinking, oh, she's a teacher. She must be all, you know, like little Miss Organized, and she must wear, you know, she must love doing bulletin boards, and she, you know, I'm so much more than my classroom, and you're so much more than your adult platforms, right?
And thank you. Yes.
The essence of who we are we good people? And so, yes, I'm here to tell the world that Lou Kemmerly, AKA Levi Karter, AKA Sassy Francis Meaner, you know, you are a good person, and I love you, and I guess I'm gonna stop talking for once.
I love you too, and you're a good person too.
Okay, sugar, talk to you later.
Okay, I love you.
Bye, Kelly. Hello
Bye.
and goodbye. Pineapple support. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.